Okay, so today we're going to be going over the graphing feature of Hyblock Capital. And it's going to look familiar to you as some of the things that we're going to be looking at we saw on the Trading Activity tab, right? So if we think back to what's the real goal here, well, when we're looking at sentiment analysis, we're really trying to determine who's in control, who's off sides, right? We're looking for that inflection point or the exhaustion point by a buyer or a seller, right? That conversation between our buyers and sellers. So where is that shift coming? And this is going to allow us to kind of look at those things that we've already been looking at, but now we're going to be able to see them on our chart. So let's get right into it. So we can see that this is a TradingView integration, and we have our TradingView tools over here. We can choose our time interval, we can choose our financial instrument. We're going to be looking at BitMEX XBT, our perp swap. And we have something over here that says Hyblock Indicators. And if we click on this, we're going to see a unique set of indicators that Hyblock has created. And some of these are going to look familiar and some of them aren't. And we're going to go over what they are and how they work and what they mean. So let's get right into it. So we're going to look at the perp swap BitMEX XBT on a 4-hour chart, and we'll turn on net shorts, and you're going to see it populate down here. And before we get into that, I just want to explain to you what net shorts are in case you guys need a refresher. But anything net is going to be the combination of entering and exiting, right? So the difference. So if we think about it this way, net shorts is the amount of shorts entering and exiting. So if 5 contracts opened as a short and 3 closed as a short, well, that's net 2. And keep in mind that these are market orders, right? So these are taker positions, if we recall back to learning about maker-taker fees. So these are orders at market. Now, if we start to look at what this means, well, the green is telling us opening and the red is telling us closing. Right, so we can see that we have spikes up here where net shorts, this would be opening, and we can see down here we have closes. So just like net shorts, we also have net longs, and that's going to populate down here. So as we just talked about net shorts, net longs, well, the amount entering and exiting. So again, if 5 contracts opened as a long, 3 closed as a long, it's net 2. They're taker positions, they're market orders. So we can start to look kind of for these spikes that might tell us, well, this is a large drop in longs. Maybe this was a liquidation level, right? We're putting all of these pieces of the puzzle together. Now we're looking at our net positions heat map. Maybe there was a block here, right? And we can see longs opened here. Price kind of started to go up a bit. Or maybe it got a little too aggressive here on the buying front where the net longs were really kind of coming in hard, and we can see here getting close to a market top. So again, these are all little tools and sentiment variables that we're going to be looking at as we have already, but now we can look at them with our chart, which is a really cool thing. So let's close that out and let's go to the next one. Cumulative long shorts. Well, we've seen this in our trading activity tab, and now we have it on our chart. And again, cumulative longs and shorts is net longs in the market and net shorts in the market, right? It's the sum, right? The two of them combined. We're seeing them now in each form. So we have the cumulative longs being the kind of greenish color and the pink as the shorts, right? And so we can see on the chart here, well, the longs are climbing and the shorts are dropping off. Well, that makes sense as price is going up. So maybe the longs are a bit too heavy right now, and maybe we're getting to a distributive area. But again, we'll see. These are all tools for you guys to use and interpret who's in control and come up with kind of your own bias, right? It's always figuring out our directional bias. And we like to use sentiment tools to help confirm that, give us confluence and confidence. So let's turn off that and let's go to our next one. And we have our cumulative long-short delta. And we know this one because this is one that we've used in our trading activity tab. And now we have it right underneath price, right? So we can see kind of this dip in longs here is dropping off, right? We can see that. And now we have them really piling in here and we can see price coming up. And the cool thing about having this in this chart is we're getting a longer look back period. We can switch our time intervals from 4 hour to 1 minute, 5 minute, and you can get really granular data. And if you're trading a low time frame, maybe you're scalping a range or you're using low time frame strategies, you can really dial in on the delta, net shorts, net longs, and all these variables that Hyblock offers. So let's close that and let's just keep going through this. So here we have the volume delta, and the volume delta is basically market buy minus market sell. Again, so these taker positions. And we can see that on the axis here, we have negative numbers and positive numbers. Obviously, we're looking for those spikes. And so the volume delta can be used in confluence with some of the other things that you have and Hyblock offers. But let's just keep powering through these. And let's look at one that is pretty unique, and that's cumulative volume delta. And the cumulative volume delta is going to be basically telling us the volume delta, but it's added over every interval in the time frame the chart is on, right? So it's additional. So if we're looking at the 4 hour, it's giving us the volume delta, but the cumulative volume delta is the delta added on every interval or candle in this instance. So again, if we're looking at a really low time frame chart, we might be able to see some unique divergences. And one that I actually just picked up, and I haven't used CVD that much, but I thought this was very interesting, and I took a short position on it, and I marked off basically the vertical lines in the peaks in the CVD. And it was telling me that each one of these was basically a price peak. And so we can see here, well, spike in CVD, right? And we can start to put our chart tools into play here, and we can put a vertical line there, and we can see that each time it actually was a nice market top, right? So whether we're using shorting or scalping positions, and you can just start to get really creative and use these tools to, again, figure out who's in control. And that actually was a very nice short. I entered in at 99.10. I had marked that off as a liquidation level. And I saw the CVD and I noticed these spikes, price spikes as well as CVD spikes. And I thought that there would be a shift in control. And I knew that there were some liquidation levels down there, and the net positions heat map had a lot of longs around 98.60, I believe. So again, we're combining all these really cool tools from Hyblock Capital, and now we're being able to see them on our charts. And so let's just continue here. And we're going down the line here, and we're seeing these three right here. And now global longs and shorts accounts on Binance. Well, this is pretty cool because this is all the accounts on Binance, right? So we can assume that this might just be retail. And each account, the way this is calculated, is assigned either long or short based on the cumulative delta of that particular account, right? So as we just learned about cumulative long-short delta, it's taking, is that account more long or short, and then putting them in a bucket, and then it's spitting out a number. And as we can see over here, this is a percentage, right? So we could see around 44% being long, or yeah, in this case long, and we can see that that is taking in the global or retail aspect. Now, we can also look at top traders long shorts accounts. That's not as cool. This one to me is very unique. And what this is telling us, and we're just going to make this a different color so you guys can see it. This is something that both Zoran and I use to help us gauge what's going on. And so top trader long and short positions. Well, what do we mean by this? This looks at the total positions and then takes the top 20% and determines that cumulative long-short delta to determine what the positioning is, right? So long or short. Now, because it's the top 20%, we can almost think of these guys as the whales or the big institutional players. So right here, I have my retail, and right here, I have my whales. So we always want to know what the bigger players are doing. So is there any way that we can kind of gauge what's going on? Well, let's take a look. We can actually take this, drop this down, and we can move existing pane above. And this is really cool, guys, because now what we're seeing is retail versus the whales, right? So we can see that we had this large drop right here. And what happened? Well, everyone sold. And you know, the larger accounts were below retail here. But as we see coming out of this kind of bottoming period, what do we see here? Well, we see the blue line is above the retail, right? So retail is bearish and the large accounts are bullish. And this is almost a sign of accumulation. And look at that. We have price going up, and we can see in one instance right here, right? This is something that both Zoran and I recognized. We saw retail shoot up significantly. And it was about right here, right? And we saw a divergence in the actual, basically the whale accounts, call it that. So this actually helped us look at a market top. And we can see that price went from 9,500 to 8,400. So again, all these little tools are incredible to help really determine who's in control, right? We're all about finding those exhaustion points, those inflection points, and all of these high block indicators now that we can use on our charts are going to help us and give us that extra edge. And again, we want to combine this with all the tools of high block. Trading activity tab, which we know that we can see a lot already on here with our cumulative long shorts, our cumulative long short deltas. And we can start to combine this with our liquidation levels, our net positions heat map, and a lot of other cool features. And it's very unique in the sense that you guys can kind of plug and play with all these things. As I just showed you, you can lay indicators on top of one another. So feel free to get creative with it. But I just wanted to give you guys an overview of what these are, how they work, and what they mean, and some examples of how Zoran and I have used these to really determine our bias and give us that extra bit of confluence and confidence. And I'll just say the other cool thing about this is now that we can look at a BitMEX price chart with Binance indicators. And I don't think too many other platforms allow you to use the multi-exchange view. So again, this was an overview of the graphing feature of Hyblock Capital, and I hope you guys found that helpful. This is an awesome tool. I love using it. Zoran loves using it as well, and we look forward to sharing it with you guys. Take care, and we'll see you soon.